Hi, welcome to Meta Minutes, your bite-sized pieces of the Metaverse. My name is Rene from Valorem Reply, and as you can see, we are today inside of the Metaverse to talk about a Metaverse topic. If you wonder what is that, well, this is our custom Altspace VR world called Reply Solar World. You have to know at Reply we have in our offices, we have physical spaces, so-called social gathering spaces. Well, of course, since we're all in the metaverse these days, we had to replicate something like this inside of the metaverse. This is where we are today. Anyhow, this is not what this show is all about. It's all about our fantastic guests like Saskia we have here today. Are we going to talk about the global XR and metaverse community? And I'm more than honored to welcome Saskia to our show. Welcome, Saskia. How are you today?
Hi, Renee. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day. Um, so let's start actually with introducing yourself. So your name is Saskia Groenewegen, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your background as it relates to 3D computer graphics, metaverse, and all the related things.
I can. Let me try. So, hi, I'm Saskia Groenewegen. I live in the Netherlands. I'm from Germany. I work at a company called Ordina, where I'm the tech lead for everything VR, AR, XR. My background, well, I studied computer science. Like many of us do. And then I did my thesis at the Research Institute, Fraunhofer, and they did the early research on VR. It was like 20 years ago, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. So I did
Mm,
another master in that area.
awesome.
And that's how got started in VR. Like first as like a scientist, basically doing some research, and then later as a software developer. And a funny story, actually, about 10 years ago, I was working as a researcher in Utrecht at university, and we were working at a research project called Metaverse. um, and it was about like
Nice.
combining real and virtual world. So that's a bit of my background.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Let's dive into our today's topic. And of course, you just told us you're working in computer graphics since many years. You actually, well, have a educational background there. Um, so tell us a little bit about the metaverse, how the term was used before it was cool. So let's start with a simple but also complex question, right? What is the metaverse for you, and where do you see its potential?
Right. Yeah, that's such a that's such a wide question. Of course, the metaverse, as you know, and as you, I think, already told the audience, comes from a science fiction book. It's from Snow Crash, William Gibson.
Mhm.
Me, I would say it's anything that, because it's such a broad term, but anything that ties like the real world to kind of a digital representation of that world. And that includes anything from what like we're doing here, right? Kind of a social virtual environment, a representation of
Mhm.
the real world, up to digital twins, right? Where you actually make a copy of a real world system. And all of that includes the metaverse. And the potential, I think the potential is very big. Like personally, what I work on at work is building training environments in virtual reality where
Mhm.
you can replicate like environments that are really difficult to reach, are really expensive, are really dangerous. So people can train in those virtual environments, or to help people during their work with headsets like a HoloLens, um,
Mhm.
where you can actually like add additional information to the real world. I see a lot of potential in those areas.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, like you said, right? It's currently such a kind of fuzzy topic, right? Like it's like
Yeah,
anything and nothing at the moment. And like you said, like for a lot of folks, it has different meanings. And I fully agree what you said. Like I also see lots of potential also for this kind of real world metaverse, right? Where we embed this kind of physical reality and make that also part. And we don't just have this pure virtual worlds, which are great too, right? Like, hey, we can chat immersively today
yeah,
without a video call. This is fantastic. I think there's a lot of
yeah.
potential for connecting the real world, right?
It's so much more personal also to talk to you as an avatar than on a video call, right?
Right. That's also, and what I also always say is like, in these kind of meetings, or like we use that internally also for business meetings, immersive business meetings, as I call it, I memorize much more from these meetings. right?
Yeah,
Like because you're fully immersed, like you are basically, as you can see, right? We see each other as 3D, although as an avatar, but I can also hear your voice in 3D with spatial sound, if you will. And then also the other aspect is you're fully focused, right? There's no outside distraction really. And
exactly. I cannot check my phone now or like look at my other screens and all of that, right? You're really present.
right. All right, let's talk about another great project you're involved with, the Global XR community. And I know together with Alexander Myers and Sjoukje Saar, you're organizing the Global XR event series, and also actually larger conference like the Global XR conference, right? Well,
Yes.
please tell us a little bit about the work you're doing there with the series, but also in one of the Global XR meetups, if you will, in Altspace, you had these fun quizzes, which was amazing. It was so much fun. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the whole Global XR community effort and what you guys are doing there, and when are maybe the
Yeah,
next
sure.
events?
Yeah. So the whole Global XR thing started as a local user group, actually, the mixed reality user group. It was a Dutch user group
Mhm.
for HoloLens, mixed reality, which was started by Sjoukje and Alexander. And then shortly before the pandemic, they asked me to join, which I was really happy to do. Then, of course, everything being online from that point onwards, we decided to shift it from a local thing to a global thing. Um, and it became the Global XR community.
Yeah.
And what we do is we organize talks once a month. We invite a speaker to give a talk. You have been a guest with us.
Mhm.
Um, and then basically we saw that there were so many amazing topics and so many amazing speakers that didn't fit in that monthly format anymore. So we also organized a yearly conference, the Global XR Conference, which was 50 speakers 2 years ago. And we did like a 24-hour live stream. And then last year we did 3 days with 70 speakers. And it was an
Wow.
amazing experience. And everything, all of that is still on YouTube. Like we recorded all the talks, they're all on our YouTube channel, Global XR community, if you want to watch them.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we keep going. And the quiz thing, well, recently we thought, yeah, we're doing all the talks, but maybe it would be nice to do something a bit more interactive with the whole community. So we thought, why not do like a fun quiz show inside of Altspace VR, right? And you were participating in that one as well, which was kind of like a game show. You get
Yeah.
questions about XR, and then you have to like jump to the right colored square to give your answer. And yeah, I thought that was really fun. What do you think?
Oh, that was amazing. I loved every second of it. That was so good fun. And like, it actually, there were also like, I would say random people joining, like, because it's an open call, right? It's not
True.
like you have an invite list and a bouncer. So it was very much open. And that was actually cool. So I met a few new people actually, in fact. That was
Yeah,
great.
me too. It's really
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, I tried to make it a bit like that at the answer. After every question, you also get an explanation for the answer,
Yeah.
so that also people new to VR maybe learn a bit. And it was really fun. Yeah, so we do that like once a month, usually the last Thursday of the month. And the conference is at the end of the year. This time it's at the
Mhm.
beginning of November, like November 3rd and 4th. But just check
Awesome.
out our website, globalxrconference.com, to get all the details.
Do that. Exactly. And what I also loved about the quizzes, I mean, you do so much more stuff than just the quizzes, right? But I think this is really innovative because how you basically selected the right answer was you had like numbers on the floor, and people had to stand on these numbered areas. Like from our German speaking audience might remember this fun kids show Eins, zwei oder drei. I
Exactly,
think
that
there's
was
a
the
simple,
inspiration. That was the
yeah, it was
inspiration why we
awesome.
did it 1, 2 oder 3. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Awesome, awesome. Well, you're doing this since many, many years now, involved with a lot of in the community, but also with other conferences, like including the very much prestigious ACM SIGGRAPH, and also the VR Days in the Netherlands, right? You're also involved with that now. So maybe you can tell us a bit about changes and trends you actually have seen in this kind of community and conference world. Is there anything particular you have seen in the community that has changed since you started with Global XR? Also in relation maybe to the Metaverse hype since last year, right? What has happened? Any trends you see there?
Yeah. Yeah, let me think. So Actually, I started working for SIGGRAPH actually a long time ago already as a student. Like I volunteered there, and it's like
Yeah.
I thought it was like it's an amazing place to be. You get to see all the latest trends. And now I still get to do
Yeah.
that, like organize the VR AR part of it. And let's see. Well, I think there's definitely a shift to let's say cheaper headsets. You know, it used to be you
Mhm.
can only have like a Vive Pro and a Valve Index and to get like really high quality material. But recently there's a lot happening with remote rendering, right?
Mhm.
So which enables those the cheaper headsets like we are then also wearing now to have way more high quality content. So I see a lot of happening with remote rendering. Um, of course, in general, the sale of the Oculus, I think, is a big shift. I think there's never been so many headsets sold as the Oculus Quest 2. Right? There's
Mhm.
a huge uptake in consumers basically buying this headset, which I hope leads to more people just being familiar with the technology and then also using it maybe for other things than gaming. So remote rendering, Oculus. What else? I do see a lot more location-based events, like cultural events, like theater, where there are like actors that are actually like in a mocap suit sometimes, or just in a headset, and that kind of interact with the people that
Mhm.
come to that performance. I see way more of that, which is really interesting and so cool. I think these are the main trends that I see. Yeah,
And do you
many would.
and of course yeah, go ahead.
I know, and I was wondering maybe is there anything that you have seen that I've now completely overlooked? Digital twins is another really big trend, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I fully agree what you said. Like also we see a lot of cultural things also moving into virtual worlds, which is great to have it with a larger audience. And I think what is really great, again, similar to the real world metaverse topic, is this kind of hybrid stuff, right? Where we can have best of both worlds basically. And
Yes,
I think this is a trend we're going to see much further. And like you said, digital twins is of course a big part of it because it's a replica of a real world entity, whatever the digital twin is, right? I mean,
yeah,
we're in fact also kind of like we're talking right now as avatars, right? We are all the digital twins of our real self, kind of, right?
that's true.
To
Yeah,
some degree, right? I mean, at some point, once you add variables and other sensory elements, you can, of course, enhance your digital twin, your digital human counterpart further, but that also raises a lot of ethical and responsible questions, right? Like what is happening there? I think this in general. Also, maybe another a quick last question is like in terms of Altspace VR events you hosted, because you hosted so many. Was there any kind of things where you had to enforce a strong policy, like because there were people harassing other folks or just not behaving well? And what is your approach,
yeah.
maybe?
Unfortunately, I think that's a problem in all online spaces, right? That's
Yeah.
happened in MMOs and in any kind of virtual world or anywhere on the internet. You have trolls and harassment, and unfortunately, we have some tools to then kick people out of the space. But yeah, that still happens. And yeah, you can see companies struggling with that as well, right? That are building kind
Mm.
of virtual worlds. How to do about that? And, I think it's really, really important that if you create such a virtual environment, that you think about those things before actually building the world. And you see a lot of
Right.
companies that are kind of reactive, like they build a world,
Hmm.
they see what happens, and then they try to change it. But I think at this point in time, we have so much experience, also from online games and everything, that you can kind of predict what's going to happen and
Yeah.
maybe build your world in such a way that you can prevent that from the start. I think that would be great.
Yeah. And yeah, that's good advice. And we probably also need virtual bouncers, right? Like, hey, just in the real
Maybe,
world, when you go to a club or whatever, right? Like a person that is at the door and is not leaving anyone in. Maybe we need
yeah,
virtual bouncers at virtual events, sadly. But I guess at the moment, I mean, humans are humans, right? And especially when they can hide behind an anonymous avatar, they will behave not well. And so we gotta act for this, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a difficult balance sometimes. Like, how do you balance the
Yeah.
privacy of people with those kinds of issues? Yeah, and
Right.
I'm excited to see where this is going to go in the future.
Right. And the fantastic part is we can all be a part of the whole story and we can help to shape it. in a
Yeah.
safe and responsible way, right? This is the main thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of this, I think it's also that's one reason why it's really important to have like a diverse group of people working in those things,
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
different people have such different experiences in virtual worlds, for example, and it's really important to include all of those people to get
Yeah,
all of those experiences.
exactly. If it's just folks like us, right, computer scientists, we have a certain lens, right? But you have other like social aspects that we sometimes might miss. And like just like you said, I mean, the whole topic of diversity is so important to get the best outcome for everyone, because like everyone
Yeah,
gives their input, right, and not just a few selected people. And so, yeah, I'm a big
exactly.
advocate of that, and I'm glad you say that. Well, Saskia, I think we could talk for many, many more hours, but we're already at the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was fantastic. Let's try to do a high
Thank
five
you.
here real quick if you can do this.
High
And
five.
woo, awesome, awesome. Well,
Thank you
thanks
so
so
much.
much,
It was so
Saskia.
great to be here. Thank you. Do we say
Well,
goodbye to
thank
the
you.
camera? All right.
Yeah, let's say
Bye.
goodbye. Well,
Thank
friends,
you.
thank you, Saskia, and thank you all for joining us for yet another episodes of Meta Minutes, your bite-sized pieces of the Metaverse. Well, we will talk in the next episodes about a couple of other topics, but of course, just visit our website or go to our social media channels or our YouTube channel, where you should actually subscribe to watch all the previous episodes and to get notified when the next episodes are about to happen. And again, thank you so much for joining us today here inside our Metaverse world. And big thanks again to Saskia and all of you for joining and listening in. I hope that was worthwhile. I loved the conversation. That was fantastic. Until then, see you next time. See you in the Metaverse. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.